Hey everybody, Resident Loser Jeremy here. You saw me talk about these OHMA mics a little while back when I first got them. Well, I have had time to sit with these things, both the ribbons, which I have here, and the condenser, which I'll talk about in another video, and these things blew my mind, especially for the price point. Let's get into it. First off, let me say this video is not sponsored in any way by OHMA. They don't get to review the video. They don't know what I'm going to say about it before it's released. Nothing like that. I say whatever I want to say. That said, let's get into it. So OHMA, a company out of the US doing all of their work in-house. They're doing incredible work. I mean, besides just being like insanely aesthetically pleasing, and every artist that I've put this thing in front of has been really impressed with these. I mean, at first hand, they could look a little gimmicky, like a shape, like what is going on here with these screens in front. And we can get more into that in another video. But essentially what you have here are two incredibly well-made ribbons. OHMA as a company is basically making two microphones. Now here's the condenser. Mine happens to be white, but you can get these in any color combination that you want. The cool thing about this is both of these things are $6.99, depending on what you get, whether it's gonna be the edge terminated condenser or these ribbons. So I had the pleasure of putting these on multiple sessions since I got them, but I think it takes a fair amount of time to give a review on a microphone. And with something like this, a brand new company with engineers who have worked on microphones that I have in my collection that I would consider legendary, that I use all the time, the same minds who built those microphones are also making these. And it shows. It really shows. First time I used both of these microphones, these are the ribbons, and I love what a ribbon does to the sound. They're so easy to work with. The side rejection is super handy when you're working with singer-songwriters, and I've had a lot of that coming up recently. The first session I did was a singer-songwriter who came in to do a quick wedding song for a buddy. I didn't get any footage of it, but if I get permission to share, I will post a quick snippet here. Second session, I actually brought somebody in to test a whole lot of different microphones. I was able to separate the vocal performance from the guitar performance and go one by one, so I could see how not just these things work, but how they interact with other microphones. And these are some of the cleanest, most easy to work with ribbons that I've ever used. And a point on that, this is a very new company. They're iterating fast. So I had the ability to use this on acoustic guitar, vocal, electric guitar cabs, drum overheads. These things can take SPLs.
March came and went, and nothing seemed to change.
Official documentation isn't out yet because a company this size hasn't gotten the capital to do that testing, at least at the time I talked to them last. But just from my own testing, this is fine in front of a kick drum, long as you're smart about it. To show you the difference, I had more issues with SPLs with this thing, which is typically notable on an edge terminated condenser. You're gonna get that with just about every edge terminated condenser out there. But these do not fall apart on a loud source. They were magic on guitar cabs. They were incredible on vocals. Super articulate, super personal.
Well, by losing parts of me, any part at all.
On overheads, they were very three-dimensional, and we tried them on overheads for one session, moved them to another source, and then we decided we liked them so much on overheads, we put it back.
Don't let your love slip away.
I've not been disappointed with anything that I put on this. And with ribbons, for me, I love a ribbon mic. If I have an option between a condenser and a ribbon, I'm typically gonna lean towards a ribbon because I like that smooth top end. I like the vibe that a ribbon most of the time imparts. I like the quick transient that you're gonna get from a ribbon because you're physically moving air in a much different way than a capsule is. And a lot of that is personal preference with me. But what I find with this ribbon in particular, the preamp circuit that they have included on this thing is very nice. Where you would typically have a ribbon that's really low output and you need something like a cloud lifter to go into whatever preamp you're using, say you don't have like the highest quality interface in the world, this thing will work as long as you feed it phantom power, and it comes with a little sticker on the bottom, 48 volts phantom power needed, because there is a circuit in here that's going to amplify the signal before it ever gets to your preamp. I think at a price point like this with $699, the quality of this ribbon here, the quality of the preamp, and its accessibility and durability in the build, it's hard to beat at that price point. Looking at other things in the market, you're either going to get a very, very good ribbon motor, or you're going to get a ribbon that incorporates an active thing at this price point. This does both and kind of obliterates the competition from a quality perspective in my mind. And as far as like higher tier ribbons, you might be looking at $1,000 plus, especially for those legendary pieces, but this hangs with those much more expensive models. I put it right up against an R88. I put it right up against an R44. I adore those microphones. I own those. Those are my personal microphones. I adore them. I will not stop using them. This hangs in that crowd. Is it going to replace an R44? Absolutely not, but you could buy, 8 of these for the same cost? It's kind of ridiculous. The R88 is nothing to sneeze at from a cost standpoint, and I think if you were to set 2 of these up in a Bloomline configuration, you have something very close. What I felt like I was getting when I used these on overheads was the favorite pieces that I liked about using my R88 as an overhead. Problem is, I love my R88 as a room mic. So having kind of those same abilities that I can toss above a drum kit and still use my R88 as a room, or vice versa, if I want that kind of XY Bloomline pattern above the drum kit with my R88, I can move these and have a stereo room that's a spaced pair. Just the same. I felt like they were interchangeable, but what I like doing on overheads is most of the time using them as a spaced pair. With something like an R88, you just can't do that. These allow me to do multiple things. I could set them up in Bloomline, I could set them up as a spaced pair. And not only that, when I'm done with drums, I can move this to a guitar cab super easy. And on guitar cab, it sounded great. All in all, it's hard to find a mic to beat at this price point. I mean, there's a lot of options out there. And frankly, what's really cool about this market currently is that no one seems to be making bad stuff. I've gotten bad microphones to try, bad microphones to kind of play with here in the studio, and you've never seen them because they're bad. These really surprised me. Coming from the point that when I first saw the mock-ups of them, they looked super gimmicky. But having them in person and seeing how clients react to being in front of them, there's a certain amount of inspiration that comes from what you're singing into. And the ubiquity of having like a traditional microphone shape in front of you is sometimes not the right answer for somebody who wants that kind of weird inspiration they would get from something that they've never seen before. And not just the aesthetics that this adds, but you're not compromising on sound quality here. I loved these on guitars, and I loved these on overheads, and having to pick between the two for me is kind of a bummer because I'm doing so many sessions where I'm doing full band all at the same time, and there's some instances where I'm doing overdubs, but having to make that decision about where I want these is the only bummer. One complaint I have about these microphones is the clip. In practice, they haven't given me any issue whatsoever. However, I think especially with a ribbon microphone, to be sure that it shouldn't move this easily in the case. And I brought this up with them when they first got here, but I feel like I have to be very precious with the microphone as to not move it and jostle it. That said, it's not going to fall out of it, but I feel like I want something a little more secure here, or at least some kind of rubber on either the stem here or the clip that it comes with to get it. But I mean, that said, you got to try to pull it out. Still, that's my main point of contention with these things. All in all, really cool purchase if you're looking to expand your mic library. I mean, $699 for a really good ribbon with a built-in preamp. If you want apples to apples, put it up against a $500 microphone where you have to then purchase a cloud lifter on top of it. So thinking about it like that, these are very impressive microphones. Anyway, guys, there's more to come on that. Go check out ohmaworld.com. I'll put a link in the description below. If you're interested in checking them out, tell them Jeremy sent you. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.